I was able to run that marathon.
Los Angeles Marathon.
Yes, I love that energy. We have that energy in our club. We have that
Oh,
positive energy,
yes.
that can-do energy. First of all, I grew up in a Portuguese-speaking environment in Brazil. Nobody in my family spoke English. I didn't grow up in an English-speaking country. I don't have anybody in my family that speaks English. What am I getting from Toastmasters? And I'm going to tell you in one word: storytelling. Because, okay, I kind of already mastered the English language, but with Toastmasters, I'm learning to build a speech with the beginning, a middle, and an end.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning to you over there in the United States of America, my fellow Californians and Valley Stars. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to another episode of our podcast, Meet Our Members. He is been in Toastmasters for already a couple of years and is originally from Brazil. He's currently living in Los Angeles, California, and moved from 5 different countries in 3 continents. In fact, he loves to communicate and he is a master at it. He says that Valley Stars is the first club he officially joined in 2020. I'm extremely excited to welcome with all of you Mr. Joao Reino. Greetings, Joao.
Thank you for this initiative. We are the only Toastmasters club doing this. It's been a ride. It's been great. Thank you, Neviana, for this initiative. And I hope we have a good time here and I can give you some nuggets.
I'm confident that you will because I've seen your first appearance at Valley Stars.
Yeah, it's about 2 years.
What made you join Toastmasters? You are the ambassador of Brazil, correct?
I'm in the foreign service. I'm not the ambassador. The ambassador is the topmost position you can get in the foreign service in a posting when you are posted somewhere. I'm not the ambassador. I'm what we call a foreign service officer. I work with consular matters. I work with helping Brazilians that need things done. I'm a vice consul of Brazil. Vice consul of Brazil in Los Angeles. There are several of us. I'm not the only one. There are a few of us actually. So yes, I'm a diplomat in the Brazilian Foreign Service.
I'm even more honored. So what made you join Toastmasters?
So what made me join the club? I lived in Malaysia before I moved to Los Angeles. I was in Malaysia for 5 years. And when I was in Malaysia, someone came up to me and told me about Toastmasters. Someone was like, oh, I'm part of this club. It's a public speaking club. And I really had a hard time wrapping my head around it. What do you mean? How does it work? What do you mean it's a club? Is there run by the members? Where is it from? So I went to one of the meetings in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, where I lived. The club was called Liquid Gold. And I went to one of their meetings. They used to hold meetings in restaurants. Asian culture is very common to rent a little part of the restaurant for your friends to do functions and parties. So they always rented a couple of tables in a little section of the restaurant. And that's where the meetings used to be, different restaurants. And first time I went, I was like, wow, this is so interesting. Like you go up in front of other people that you don't know. Like it's so scary, so challenging. And at the same time, it seems that you're developing so many skills doing this. And I had a chance to do a table topic. And I was so scared because even though I've always been a communicator, I've always been very passionate about English, about communication, I have stage fright. Always did. Even though I've always worked talking to people, I've always had a stage fright. It's always been something very, very challenging for me, but also the thing that I love the most. So I went on and did a table topics, and I won the table topics that day. And I was so stoked about it. I was so happy. I got they have these little coins, these little medals they give us. And I just love the idea of practicing public speaking like that in front of actual people.
Were there a lot of people?
In the meetings I went to, there were about 15 people in the meetings. Yeah, it was sort of a medium-sized club. I love the sense of community. Of course, I felt everybody were better speakers than I was. I felt a little bit like out of out of place, but they made me feel so comfortable that I went back to another meeting.
Mm.
And then my time in Malaysia was over. I came to Los Angeles, started looking for Toastmasters Club, but we didn't have any references, wasn't sure if I was going to do it. And then I joined this coaching group, this growth-oriented coaching group, and I met Rachel, which is one of our
Rachel
members.
Garcia.
Rachel Garcia, and she was one of the club officers back then. I'm not sure, just a member. And then she invited me for Valley Stars Toastmasters.
She's very active, and she's always been a
Yeah,
very valued member. So I'm so
yes.
happy and glad that she brought you.
She invited me, and then I went there. I loved her energy. We became good friends in the other group. So I went to the club, and I had a great time meeting you all. And you were there that day, and I did a table topics, and I won.
I was really mesmerized by you, like one of your speeches on hypnotism. I was mesmerized by your
Oh, the mesmerizing speech. It was about mesmerization.
by your poise. The first meetings you're coming to, I was eager to hear what you have to say because you spoke directly to my heart. And I remember typing in and telling you how wonderful it is, and how even though we are thousands of miles away, I can feel you, and you and the whole Valley Stars impact me so strongly, even though I'm at home on my desk.
Wow.
I feel, and it's evening here, it's morning there. I feel so energized when the meeting is over, and I'm ready to take on the world. Was this your first time to Los Angeles?
My first time in Los Angeles, but not my first time in the US. I know what you're talking about. I 100% understand, and I love that energy too. I love this positivity, this can-do energy, which is very big here in the US. It's not everyone, but a lot of people here have this kind of energy. It's easy to manifest that energy here because sometimes in other cultures, when you try to be too positive, people are just realistic, right? They're realistic. You get your bubble burst very often. It happened to me a lot among my countrymen. Like I get my bubble burst. Oh my God, you're too positive. You're too this, too that. Oh, but this is not, you can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, you have to pay attention to this. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to think about all of that. I want to be unrealistic. I want to be positive because I think that's how you change things. Yes, I love that energy, and I know what you're talking about, and I think we have that energy in our club. We have that positive energy, that can-do energy.
It's so supportive, really.
Yeah, and it's not about what they've been saying now. People have been talking about toxic positivity, right? When you don't pay attention to your feelings and you just ignore them, so you develop this toxic positivity. No, it's not about that, because there's also toxic negativity, right? It's just where to focus. There's always going to be two sides of the coin. There's always going to be positive things to focus on and negative things to focus on. Sure, let's acknowledge the negative things. Let's acknowledge the challenges of whatever thing we're doing in our lives. But why should I focus on the negative? Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on the good things that are out there. This is a much more productive way of leading life, a much more interesting way of living life. It's just a better way to live life, to try to focus on the positive things and not let the negative get to you.
Drag you down. No, they can get in the way, but
Drag you down. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because there's always going to be positive and negative. When you work on yourself, when you start to develop positivity, that's the best way to change the world. You want to change the world? That's the best way to work on yourself, to become a better person, to become more compassionate, to help others. This is how big changes are created, from small individual personal commitment to growth to personal development. That's how I think. That's how I feel. It's a growth-oriented mindset. And I think our club has this growth-oriented mindset, which I love.
It's the slogan of Toastmasters, where leaders are made. Toastmasters really helps and supports the person in a very gentle way. We are all in the business of public speaking, whether we're talking to our spouses, whether we're talking to our children, whether we talk to our employees or friends. We always communicate our ideas, and we want to be heard and seen. Toastmasters shows us a way how to do it properly.
Yeah, Toastmasters is a way to develop such an important skill in a supportive environment. We are always public speaking. And what I love about Toastmasters is using the space to feel confident, to develop confidence, to develop skills, but then going out there in the real world and applying them. That's the best thing, to get all those skills and all that confidence that you built there and then put it to test in the real world.
I don't know how you can better yourself. How did you learn to speak so well? And what did actually Toastmaster bring on top of these skills already?
Since I was a little kid, I became obsessed with English. First of all, I grew up in a Portuguese speaking environment in Brazil. Nobody in my family spoke English. I didn't grow up in an English speaking country. I don't have anybody in my family that speaks English. I was in Brazil. I was about 6, 7 years old, and my grandmother signed me up in this English school because it's very common for kids in Brazil. I imagine in Bulgaria too, for children in Brazil to go to English schools to learn English as a foreign language, not even as a second language, as a foreign
No,
language.
we don't have that many of those. We have with Russian as a second language.
Okay, in
Because it's
Brazil,
closer.
English is big, even
I
though
don't know
most Brazil.
if now it's a good thing or not, but
Even though most Brazilians end up not learning that much and they don't speak English, we don't speak English in Brazil. English speaking people, tourists, if you go to Brazil and try to communicate in English, it's not going to be easy. Most Brazilians do not speak English and have a hard time understanding it. I went to this English school as a foreign language. It's very common for kids to go. And I just fell in love. I had so much fun. It was British English that I was learning back then, but I had so much fun just hearing the words and trying to pronounce them. I just loved it. And then once there was this kid, after a few years of my studying English, this kid showed up, and this kid had been an exchange student. He had lived for 1 year in America, and he was back there at the school studying more English. And I was just mesmerized, to use that word again, by I was mesmerized with his accent, with his fluency. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Look at this kid speaking, the intonation of words, the stress syllables and all. I'm like, I want to speak English like that. And that was the first time I heard about exchange programs, student exchange programs. So I was like, I want to be an exchange student. I want to be an exchange student. Nobody in my family ever thought of that. My mom had no idea what that was, but she started looking into it because she took my desire seriously. That's cool too. I had the support of my family. And my family didn't have money or anything, but we're able to do everything I needed and I wanted to develop my language. When I was 16 years old, I came to the United States for a long stay for the first time. I had already come when I was 14 for just 15 days, but then when I was 16, I came as an exchange student.
my son is 14. I'm not sure if I would let him go
Right?
alone anywhere for.
Yeah, but my mom did. I'm so glad that she trusted me and that she was like, wow, he can do it. So I came to the United States. I came to Rhode Island, North Providence for 1 year. I lived in North Providence. I went to North Providence High School for 1 year. I was a junior. I was obsessed with the language, trying to speak better. I did have a hard time culturally. It was the cultural shock. It was very hard to make friends. I found everything very different. It wasn't easy. And because it was so hard, I was like, I got to go back. I have to go back because this chapter is not done in my life. I got to go back. I have to understand this culture. I have to know what this is all about. Why was it so hard for me to make friends? Why was it so hard for me to just feel home, to feel like I was home, like I was feel more connected. It was very hard for me, but because of that, because of this challenge, I wanted to go back. So I was an exchange student here. I was an exchange student for 1 year, went back to Brazil, kept on studying English, grew older, and then I came back to the US a few times on different stays. I came back in actually when I was 19, I came back. My mom let me come back again. I came back when I was 23, and then with my girlfriend back then, and then I had a daughter. My daughter was born here in the United States, my first daughter. And then we went back to Brazil, but then I was already very involved with the English language. I had already been a teacher. I became an interpreter, simultaneous translation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did that for 10 years. I love interpreting. I love simultaneous interpretation. I learned how to develop my accent. I started studying American accent training and the importance, for example, of the stress in a sentence. That's very important in English. Which syllables you stress. That makes all the difference.
Wow, I am so happy I'm interviewing you and finding all these interesting stories about your life. It takes a lot of drive and courage to
Yes.
stick to your plan. We're all watching these American movies and we're just Mesmerized.
Mind blown.
Mind blown, yes, by America, and the mothership is calling us all the time. And I think Hollywood is one of the greatest ways to really take in a lot of foreigners and
Not everybody in the world feel this mesmeration that we feel.
that are the same frequency.
Vibration, same
Because
frequency. Yeah.
because I loved America.
Only the crazy high energy ones like us feel attracted
Yes,
to it.
yes.
With Toastmasters, I'm learning storytelling to build, building a speech with the beginning, a middle, and an end, and get people's engagement. So I think that's the biggest value in terms of public speaking that I'm getting from Toastmasters is storytelling.
If you go back to Joao at 16, you would tell him join a Toastmasters sooner.
Probably, yeah, I would probably also but then it wouldn't be for the storytelling. It would be for the English itself and for the confidence. For the confidence of, and also for the sense of belonging, because that's another thing I like about Toastmasters, the community. So yes, 16-year-old João would really benefit from a sense of belonging to a group, belonging to the country, and developing confidence in speaking in front of other people. Because when I was here at 16, I was extremely shy, and I actually missed some opportunities. I had some people inviting me to things and all, and I wouldn't go because I was so embarrassed. I was so shy. And then, well, it goes. We can dive into that rabbit hole, and then we're gonna go into deeper issues and parenting and how I was raised. But there was a lot of insecurities in me back then, and I felt like I didn't belong, that I wasn't worthy. So part of my not being fully integrated into the culture when I was here is because I resisted it. I was afraid of showing up. So one of my biggest mottos today is show up, show up, show up, show up. That's a game changer. Yeah, here we go. Show up is a game changer in every area of life, regardless of where you are, what are you trying to develop, what are your passions. One thing I realized in Brazil, talking about music now, I had a friend who played guitar really well. He was very critical of everybody else who played guitar, very judgmental, and he never performed, ever. And then I realized that some of the most famous bands out there, some of the musicians that are out there making a name for themselves, they're not necessarily the best musicians, but they are the ones that show up. So I had this friend who played guitar really nice.
Yeah,
Persistent, they show
as a
up.
diva vocal, I don't think I am one of the best singers. I wasn't even noticed when I was 8th grade, but I never gave up my hobby. I kept singing at home until I lost my voice every day. One day, all this work that I put in finally
Paid off.
paid off. And this is the same with public speaking. Because from singing, I've been hired to do commercials, to read stories, to interview people, do podcasts, because my throat is well positioned and I have, from the singing, good posture of the mouth, which,
look at that,
like you felt going to the States was something that was pulling you. Singing was something that is pulling me, and I'm very passionate about having each person follow their heart, because only that person knows what is true for them. I think it's important that we really support those people. But I saw you won a marathon in Los Angeles.
No, I ran. I didn't win it, but I ran.
For me, you won it. I was so proud of you.
Yeah, it was a personal challenge. So for me, I won too, because I ran the marathon.
How long was it? And what is up your alley? What are your goals for the upcoming future?
So the marathon has to do with the positivity I was talking about too. I had never run anything before in my life, and then I decided to run the marathon because I was inspired by someone else. I couldn't focus on the negative. I had to focus on what I can do, on the positivity. And I just started training for 3 months only, 3.5 months. And I actually got COVID in the middle, so I stopped for a couple of weeks. So I trained for like 3-4 months, started running every day. And the biggest challenge was my mind. Of course, physicality too. During the run, I didn't have the muscles necessary to run a marathon, but I did it. It took me almost 7 hours, but I finished it. Always, of course, struggling with my mind. It was telling me to stop, telling me that I couldn't do it. And I was like, no, I can do it. I can, even if I walk the thing, even if I crawl to the end, I will do it. And I was able to, yes, I was able to finish that marathon, and I have the medal here to prove. Yeah, I was able to run that marathon.
Los Angeles Marathon. How long was
Yeah.
it? How long was the course?
Oh, it's a marathon. So we're talking about 26 miles, 42 kilometers. It's
I
huge.
cannot even picture going 10
Yeah.
miles.
I love the experience. And my goals in life are not necessarily to run another marathon, but I might because it felt so good finishing it. But my goal is to do something with this love that I have for communication and for growth and for personal development. Maybe something connected to public speaking or to motivating or even connected to the fact that what made me overcome and learn the language the way I did was showing up, showing up, showing up. So I want to help other people show up.
And now you're helping us, the Valley Stars, to shine bright. I can feel the excitement, and even without much talking, I think we're on the same vibe, on the same road, and I think the best is yet to come. And I cannot wait for your passion to unveil, because I know you are grand and you're golden.
Thank you. I feel the same about you.
What is your favorite quote? I see that you cite Napoleon Hill. I love him. What is
Okay.
your favorite quote?
I don't know if I have a favorite quote. I can't remember now because there's so many amazing quotes, and those quotes are very carefully selected.
And
I
wish
have to go back.
something really quick for the new year to everyone that's watching.
I wish everybody to be brave enough to show up and to pursue their dreams. And yeah, once again, show up. Don't stay in your head. Don't keep it in your head. Just go out in the real world and show who you are. Vulnerability is sexy. Vulnerability is what's going to attract what you want towards yourself.
This season's greeting is going out to all of you. See ya, snowman.
Don't cry, snowman, not in front of me. Who'll catch your tears if you can catch me, darling? If you can catch me, darling. Don't cry, snowman, don't leave me this way. A bottle of water can hold me close, baby. Can hold me close, baby. I want you to know that I'm never leaving, 'cause I miss the snow till death will be freezing. Yeah, you are my home for all seasons. So come on, let's go below zero and hide from the sun. I love you forever, where we'll have some fun. Yeah, let's hit the North Pole and live happily. Please don't cry, no tears, now it's Christmas, baby. My snowman and me. My snowman and me, baby. Don't cry, snowman, don't you fear the sun. Who'll carry me without legs to run, honey? Without legs to run, honey. Don't cry, snowman, don't you shed a tear. Who'll catch my secrets if you don't have ears, baby? If you don't have ears, baby. I want you to know that I'm never leaving, 'cause I miss the snow till death will be freezing. Yeah, you are my home for all seasons. So come on, let's go below zero and hide from the sun. I love you forever, well, we'll have some fun. Yeah, let's hit the North Pole and live happily. Please don't cry, no tears, now it's Christmas, baby. My snowman and me. My snowman and me, baby.
Merry Christmas to all of you and Happy New Year.